I never thought I'd kill a man with his own lies. But that's exactly what I did, slowly, methodically, from inside his skin. 20 years ago, my father penned a letter that shattered our family, dooming me to the streets at 18 with nothing but rage and a backpack. And now, in the body of the woman who stole my life, I'm rewriting the ending, one whispered confession at a time. The rain hammered the windshield like it had a personal grudge, turning the interstate into a blurred smear of taillights and regret. I gripped the steering wheel of my beat-up Ford Escape, the one I'd bought with tips from slinging coffee in dive bars across 3 states, and wondered if this was the night I'd finally snap. It was my 38th birthday, though no one knew, least of all the ghost of the girl I'd been, and the GPS on my phone was directing me back to Willow Creek, Ohio, the suburb that had chewed me up and spat me out 2 decades ago. Ivy Hargrove. That's me. Or what's left of her. A survivor with calluses on her soul thicker than the ones on her hands from years of scrubbing floors and dodging creeps. I'd found the letter 3 weeks ago, tucked in the lining of an old suitcase my mother had left behind when she accidentally overdosed on pills the summer I turned 17.
It wasn't suicide.
Not really. Everyone whispered that much at the funeral, but no one dug deeper because Harlan Hargrove, my father, was the golden boy of Willow Creek. Mayor by 40, real estate mogul by 50, and by the time he hit 60, he owned half the town and all its secrets. The letter was in his meticulous block letters, dated the week before my 18th birthday. Kick her out at 18. She's not mine. The scandal would ruin us. Send her to the city with a bus ticket and forget she exists. For the family, not his. I'd spent my whole life chasing his approval, the straight A's, the cheerleading captain gig, the fake smile at his campaign dinners, only to learn I was the family secret, the product of my mom's affair with some nameless drifter. And he'd let me bear the weight of it all, including the fall that wasn't mine. That night in the Hargrove mansion, when the maid found the study trashed and the safe cracked open, fingers pointed straight at me. I'd been home alone, or so they said, but it was Elena, his precious second wife, the one who slipped in after Mom's accident, who'd orchestrated the whole thing to cover her own embezzlement from his accounts. She framed me for the theft. A cool $500,000 in bearer bonds vanished into her offshore slush fund. Dad believed her. Of course. Packed my bags himself, handed me a Greyhound ticket to Cleveland, and watched me walk out into the November sleet without a backward glance. I crashed on couches, waitressed in greasy spoons, got my nursing degree online while pulling graveyard shifts at county hospitals. Men came and went, jerks mostly, mirrors of my old man, but I built a life. A quiet one. Until the body swap. Yeah, you read that right. It sounds like science fiction, but in the underbelly of America's opioid crisis, where big pharma meets black market biotech, miracles or curses happen in dingy clinics. I'd been moonlighting as a home health aide for Elena's ailing mother-in-law, irony's a bitch, when I stumbled into it. Dr. Voss, a disgraced neurosurgeon holed up in a Akron strip mall, peddling consciousness transfers to the desperate elite. Swap your failing body for a fresh one. No questions asked. Elena had booked a session, trading her arthritic shell for a donor model's lithe frame, courtesy of some poor soul harvested from a morgue. But Voss botched the prep, and when I walked in to check vitals, the machine hummed to life.
Lights. Pain.
And suddenly, I was staring at my own face, pale, freckled, green-eyed from across the room, trapped in Elena's wrinkled, pill-popped husk. The swap was permanent, Voss swore, his hands shaking as he unplugged the rig. Neural engrams fused. No reversal without killing you both. Elena, now in my body, screamed like a banshee, her new voice cracking with unfamiliar youth. She clawed at her reflection, at the tattoos I'd inked in defiance during my 20s, the scar on my collarbone from a bar fight. I felt it all, the sag of her skin, the fire in her joints, the echo of her memories bleeding into mine like bad acid. Betrayal's blueprint. She'd poisoned my mother to clear the way for her climb, siphoned funds to fund her plastic surgeries and political bribes, and pinned it all on the troubled stepdaughter. Dad knew. Deep down, the letter proved it, but power's a blindfold, and Elena wore it like couture. I could have ended it there, let the old bat's heart give out in Voss's chair. But revenge isn't quick, it's a slow burn, the kind that leaves scars on the Avenger too. So I played along. Became Elena. Limped out of that clinic in her Chanel pumps, drove her Lexus back to Willow Creek, and slipped into her life like a shadow in silk. The mansion loomed the same, white columns, manicured lawns, the American dream's facade hiding rot. Dad, Harlan, greeted me at the door with a perfunctory kiss on the cheek, his eyes glazing over my migraine. Elena's migraines. Always a convenient excuse. You look tired.
Love.
Rough day at the spa. I smiled, her Botox-frozen lips stretching tight, and murmured, just the usual ghosts. That first night, I rifled through her drawers while Harlan snored in the master suite. Jewelry boxes full of baubles bought with stolen money, love letters from lobbyists, a hidden ledger in code detailing the bribes that greased his last election, and photos, doctored ones, splicing my face onto grainy shots of Mom and that drifter, proof she'd fed Dad to justify the disownment. The betrayal hit like a freight train. I'd carried her crime. Served 6 months in juvie for grand theft, lost scholarships, friends, everything. While she ascended, toasting champagne with the elite at galas where I once cleared plates. By week 2, I was Elena full-time. Her yoga classes, her charity luncheons, her afternoons in bed with the pool boy. God, the memories made my stomach turn, but knowledge is power. I whispered doubts into Harlan's ear over breakfasts of avocado toast and kale smoothies. Ivy's back in town. You know. Saw her at the market. She looks hardened. His fork paused midair, silver hair catching the light like frost. Good riddance. That girl's poison. But I saw the flicker, the guilt he'd buried under scotch and success. The hook sank deeper when I accidentally left the letter on his desk, my letter, the one I'd carried like a talisman all these years. He found it during one of his late-night rants about zoning laws, his face draining to ash as he read his own words. Elena? What the hell is this? I feigned shock, clutching pearls that weren't mine. Harlan, darling.
I
kept it for the lawyers, in case she came sniffing around. Lies within lies. He paced the study, the same one she'd trashed all those years ago, sweat beading on his brow. She's not mine? Then why? Christ. The frame job. It was you, wasn't it? To keep her out. To protect your spot. Denial first, then rage. I let him rage, nodding sympathetically as his world cracked. But I wasn't done. The controversial part, the decisions that would haunt me, started with the pills. Elena's stash, oxy and fentanyl, hidden in the vanity. I dosed his coffee lightly at first, just enough to fog his mind, make him sloppy at council meetings. Whispers spread. Mayor Hargrove's losing it, slurring through speeches on fracking rights, eyeing interns too long. Elena's reputation as the Ice Queen philanthropist began to thaw into suspicion. Mrs. Hargrove is the mayor. Okay, the PDA president asked at a fundraiser, her eyes darting to my Elena's manicured nails. I leaned in, voice a conspiratorial hush. He's under such stress. Secrets from the past catching up. The town buzzed. Old scandals resurfaced. Mom's death ruled suspicious by a podunk coroner who'd been on Harlan's payroll. I leaked the autopsy photos to a local blogger. Anonymous tip from a burner phone. Poisoning, the headline screamed. Harlan confronted me in the kitchen, veins bulging like rivers on a map. You're stirring shit, Elena. Why now? I met his gaze, letting tears well, hers, crocodile perfect. Because I love you, Harlan. But Ivy. She's circling. And if the truth comes out, it drags us all down. He slapped me then, a backhand that split her lip, my lip now, and for a split second, I tasted blood and freedom. But I crumpled, sobbing, and he apologized with roses and a weekend in Aspen. Classic Harlan, by silence with luxury. While he golfed with donors. I hacked her email, password, Harlan Forever 69, Christ, from the hotel laptop. Sent feelers to the DOJ. Tips on the embezzlement trail. Not enough to indict, just enough to spook. Back home, the tension coiled like a spring. I started sleeping in the guest room, citing health issues, and watched him unravel. Nights, I'd slip into the basement, Voss's black market neural blocker humming in my pocket, a gadget to suppress the bleed of Elena's memories. Keep my Ivy core intact. But they came anyway, flashes of her laughing as cops cuffed me, of her forging the drifter's paternity test. Rage fueled me, dark and unyielding, the kind that makes good people do bad things. The first real move came at the annual Willow Creek Harvest Ball. Black tie affair in the VFW hall decked with cornstalks and fairy lights. I arrived on Harlan's arm, her red gown hugging this borrowed body like a second skin. Ivy, real Ivy, in Elena's stolen youth, watched from the shadows near the punch bowl. I'd arranged it, a fake invite through a sympathetic ex-friend, now a bartender slinging drinks for the elite. Our eyes met across the room, and for a heartbeat, the world narrowed. She saw Elena, but I saw the mirror of my pain, the body I'd vacated now lean and fierce, tattoos peeking from lace sleeves. You look good, stepmom, she said, voice low, laced with venom. Up close, the swap's residue hit, her scent on my skin, my scars on her flesh. Life treating you kind? I sipped champagne, Elena's poise masking Ivy's fire. Better than exile, I imagine. We danced around words, a verbal tango of barbs, while Harlan schmoozed donors nearby. Then, the hook, I pressed a USB into her palm, disguised as a lipstick case. Watch it. For old time's sake, it held the ledger, decrypted, every dirty dollar traced. She vanished into the night, and by morning, the FBI was knocking. Not on our door, yet, but on the pool boys, squeezing him for Elena's side hustle. Harlan's phone rang off the hook. Reporters, rivals, the governor's office pulling strings. He cornered me in the foyer. Breath, whiskey sour. What have you done? I straightened, channeling her Arctic calm. Protected us, darling. Like always. But his eyes narrowed, suspicion dawning. The betrayal loop tightened him against her, not knowing the war was already lost. As October bled into November, the chill settled in my bones, Elena's bones, brittle as autumn leaves. I dosed heavier now, Harlan's hands trembling as he signed away parcels of land to cover debts. The mansion echoed with arguments, crystal shattering against walls. "You're destroying me," he bellowed one night, face purple. I smiled sadly, the way she'd done to me all those years ago.
No.
Harlan. The truth is. And in that moment, I felt the first crack in my resolve, the controversial mercy of letting him live long enough to feel it all. Winter gripped Willow Creek like a vice, snow piling against the mansion's windows in drifts that muffled the world's judgment. Inside, the heat cranked to 80, but I shivered in Elena's cashmere sweaters, her memories assaulting me in waves, the thrill of forging signatures, the salt of tears on her cheeks as she watched me leave. Harlan had retreated to his study, a fortress of oak and denial, emerging only for meals where he'd pick at poached salmon and glare daggers. The FBI's shadow loomed. Agents in unmarked sedans circled the block, interviewing neighbors about irregularities in the Hargrove Foundation's books. Elena's charity, her crown jewel, was crumbling, funds diverted to Swiss accounts, donors pulling pledges like loose threads. I played the loyal wife, fielding calls from lawyers with a tremor in my voice that wasn't entirely faked. "Of course we'll cooperate, Agent Ruiz." Harlan's devastated, but behind closed doors, I fed the beast. Late nights, I'd drive Elena's Escalade to the seedier side of town, meeting Voss in his new hideout, a meth lab-adjacent warehouse off I-77. The doc was twitchy, eyes darting like a cornered rat, but his tech was gold, a neural probe to amplify the swap's echoes, forcing Elena's guilt to surface in my dreams. "You're digging your own grave, Ivy," he warned, jacking the device into a port behind my ear, her ear. "These bodies reject foreign minds eventually." I paid him in her diamonds, pawned discreetly. "Then make it quick." The dreams were vivid. You am tapestries of the past. I'd wake gasping, sheets tangled, reliving the night of the frame, Elena in the study, gloved hands rifling the safe, bonds slipping into her purse like serpents. Then, the setup, my backpack planted with a single pilfered earring, her anonymous tip to the cops. The girl's unstable. Officers. After her mother's suicide. Lies layered thick. The deep betrayal that had stolen my future. But there was more. Secrets buried deeper. Harlan's complicity. He'd known about the affair. Confronted Mom years before. Driven her to the pills with ultimatums. Choose him or the family. She chose silence. And paid with her life. The letter wasn't just disownment. It was absolution for murder. Armed with that, I escalated. The controversial pivot came at Christmas. The Hargrove tradition of excess, a catered feast for 50 at the country club, twinkling lights and carolers in Victorian get-ups. I invited Ivy, real Ivy, under the guise of reconciliation, a Hail Mary to Harlan's fraying conscience. She arrived in leather jacket and boots, hair cropped short like a rebel flag, my body radiating the strength I'd forged in exile. Harlan choked on his eggnog when he saw her. "What the hell is she doing here?" I placed a hand on his arm, Elena's rings glinting. "Family, Harlan. It's Christmas." The dinner was a minefield. Toasts clinked awkwardly, silverware scraping like accusations. Ivy sat across from me, her green eyes, my eyes, boring holes. Nice to see you playing house. Elena. Must be exhausting. I smiled, forking turkey with precision. Adapting to change is a skill.
Dear.
You, of all people, should know. Harlan shifted, sweat beading despite the fire roaring in the hearth. Midway through, as brandy circulated, I dropped the bomb, slid the autopsy report across the linen. Mom's cause of death circled in red. Barbiturate overdose. Intentional. Gasps rippled. Aunt Lydia clutched her pearls. Harlan, you said it was an accident. He denied it. Of course. Voice booming like thunder over the Ohio plains. Lies. Ivy's stirring trouble again. But Ivy leaned forward. Voice steel. Read the letter.
Dad.
The one you wrote. I'm not yours? Fine. But Mom was. And you killed her for it. The room fractured, guests murmuring, slipping out into the snow like rats from a sinking ship. Harlan lunged, chair toppling, but I intercepted, her frail frame absorbing the shove. Enough, I cried, tears streaming, genuine now, Ivy's grief bleeding through. He stormed out, slamming the French doors, leaving us in stunned silence. Later, in the coat room, Ivy cornered me. What game are you playing? You old bitch. Her breath fogged the air, close enough to count the freckles I'd once hated. I whispered, low and fierce. Look closer. It's me.
The swap.
Voss's machine. Her laugh was bitter, disbelieving. But I pressed the probe's remote into her hand, a demo pulse, sending a jolt of my memory through her nerves, the clinic's hum, the pain of transfer. She staggered, eyes widening. Jesus. Ivy. We huddled there, two souls in stolen skins, plotting the endgame. He has to pay, she said, my old voice roughened by years. We both do. The alliance was uneasy, controversial in its intimacy, sisters in deception, blurring lines of self. We met in motels off the highway, sharing Elena's memories like contraband, the bribes to zoning boards, the underage intern Harlan mentored into silence. I leaked to the press. Anonymous drops at the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Hargrove corruption, from theft to tragedy. Headlines exploded. Protests outside City Hall. Effigies burning in the square. Harlan fought back, suing for defamation. But his allies peeled away like wallpaper in damp. January brought the raid. FBI at dawn, battering the mansion doors while I slept in silk pajamas. They cuffed Harlan in the foyer, reading rights amid flashes from news vans. Embezzlement, fraud, conspiracy to commit murder. Elena's ledger was the noose, but my tip's the rope. I played the victim, sobbing on the lawn in a robe, microphones thrust like spears. I had no idea. He hid it all. The nation ate it up. True crime podcast fodder. The fallen king and his duped queen. But the twist brewed in the shadows. Harlan, from his cell, started talking. Not to exonerate,
but to destroy.
He spilled to his lawyer about the swap. Wild ravings of body thieves and neural hacks. Elena's not Elena. It's the girl. Ivy. In her skin. The attorney dismissed it as dementia, but seeds planted. Ivy warned me over burner phones. He's unraveling you too. We finish this. The plan, confront him and lock up. Extract a confession on tape. Controversial? Hell yes, tampering with a federal case. Risking it all for closure. But rage is a blind driver. And I floored it. Visitation day. I arrived in Elena's mink coat. Heels clicking on concrete like countdowns. Harlan looked smaller behind plexiglass. Jowls sagging. Eyes wild. You bitch, he hissed through the speaker. I know it's you. The real Elena's out there. In your trash body. Plotting. I leaned in. Smile serpentine. Confess. Dad.
Mom.
The letter. The frame. He laughed. A wet rattle. She deserved it, your mother. Whoring around. And you're the mistake I fix, the recorder word in my purse. But as he ranted, doubt flickered, Elena's memory surfacing unbidden, Harlan's tenderness, rare moments of love amid the control. Was the betrayal mutual? Had Mom lied too? I left with the tape, heart pounding, but the drive home blurred with tears. Voss called, rejection starting. Hallucinations, blackouts. Months. Tops. Time was blood in the water. Ivy met me at the mansion. Now a hollow shell, furniture repossessed, echoes in empty halls. We listened to the confession. Her face, my face, stone. Upload it. End him. But I hesitated. The dark tension coiling. Was revenge justice? Or just another cage? February's thaw brought leaks. The tape hit the dark web. Harlan's voice damning him further. Suicidal spiked in cells. But he hung on, raging from isolation. Elena, trapped in my old body, surfaced online. A ghost account spilling truths. Voss's clinic exposed. Swaps decried as horror. She was coming for us. The real monster unbound. The climax loomed. And inevitable. As snow melted into mud. I dose myself now. Not for pain. But clarity, Elena's regrets sharpening Ivy's blade. The decisions mounted. Burn it all. Or salvage something from the ash. Spring erupted in Willow Creek like a fever dream. Dogwoods blooming pink against the gray of scandal-soaked skies. The mansion sold at auction. Fire sale price to a tech bro from Silicon Valley eyeing it for a VR startup, but I lingered in Elena's Pi de Terra downtown. A sleek condo overlooking the Cuyahoga River's sluggish flow. Harlan's trial loomed in federal court. Cleveland docket clogged with his ilk, crooked Pauls and their enablers. I testified as Elena, prim in pearl gray, voice steady as I detailed the discoveries of his double life. He manipulated me. Your Honor. The ledgers. The threats. It was all to protect his empire. The prosecutor nodded, eyes gleaming. The defense painted me as accomplice. Brittle and bitter. Jurors whispered, gold digger or victim. The controversy raged on cable news. Pundits dissecting the Hargrove heist with maps and timelines. My face, her face, pixelated in Sharon's. Ivy shadowed the proceedings from the back rows. Incognito in hoodies and shades. Her presence a talisman against the bleed. The swaps toll mounted. Migraines like ice picks. Phantom itches where tattoos should be. Voss had vanished. His warehouse torched, arson. Cops said. But I knew Elena's handiwork. She posted manifestos on fringe forums, railing against body fascists and stolen cells, doxing clinics from Miami to Seattle. One night, she DM'd me from a throwaway. Give it back. Thief. Or, I got your precious daddy first. Attached, a photo of Harlan in Gen Pop. Shivved shallow across the ribs. Non-fatal. A warning. The betrayal deepened, layers peeling like onion skin. Elena's memories revealed the hidden secret. The crime I'd borne wasn't just theft. Mom had no deed on accidentals. Elena spiked the wine with fentanyl-laced pills. But Harlan supplied the stash, his stress relief, from a dealer on payroll. And the drifter? Not nameless. He was Harlan's half-brother, a black sheep exiled for queerness in the 80s Bible Belt. Mom's affair was revenge, a middle finger to Harlan's hypocrisy. The letter? Cover for patricide light, disowning the nephew he'd never claim. I'd carried the bastard's blood, framed for Elena's greed, all to preserve the Hargrove myth of straight arrow Americana. Rage evolved into something colder, more calculated. Ivy and I plotted in whispers over takeout pho in her motel crash pad. Ironic. Her in my old haunts. We hit her where it hurts, the power. Elena's ascent wasn't just money. It was the junior league throne, the pack she chaired funneling dark money to anti-choice zealots. Controversial? We torched it. As Elena called an emergency board meeting, confessing embezzlement ties. I can't in good conscience lead anymore. Resignation letter leaked pre-dawn. PAC imploding amid donor exodus. Protests swelled outside, feminists clashing with evangelicals. Signs reading, Hargrove hypocrite, and blood money out. Harlan's trial kicked off in April. Cherry blossoms shedding like confetti on the courthouse steps. I watched from the stand as witnesses dismantled him. The intern, now a Me Too advocate, tearfully recounting assaults. The coroner, pension bought but conscience pricked, admitting the rushed ruling on Mom. Harlan glowered from the dock. Suit rumpled. The cunning tycoon reduced to a frog in boiling water. Cross-exam. His lawyer lunged. Mrs. Hargrove, isn't it true you orchestrated the frame on Ivy to eliminate competition?
Gasps.
I paused. Elena's poise cracking just enough for Ivy's truth to seep. Competition?
She was a child.
Harlan turned a blind eye to protect his interests. The jury leaned in, scenting blood. But the antagonist struck back. Elena, feral in my youth, ambushed Ivy outside a dive bar. Syringe glinting, Voss's neural toxin, meant to scramble minds. They grappled in the alley. Rain-slicked pavement. My old body stronger, but her desperation fiercer. Ivy disarmed her. Knee to the gut. But not before the prick, shallow dose. Enough to fuzz memories for days. Tell your twin I know. Elena spat, fleeing into shadows. Ivy stumbled to me. Arm bandaged. Eyes haunted. She's unraveling. Says the swap's a lie, that you're just Elena. Gaslighting for the inheritance. Doubt wormed in. The dark tension peaking.
Was I?
Blackouts stretched longer. Elena's voice in my head a siren's call. You're me now. Embrace it. I doubled Voss's blockers. Sourced from a street dock in Detroit. Popping them like candy. The decisions turned savage. To save Ivy. I cut ties. Ghosting her texts. Alone. I escalated solo. Hacked Elena's offshore accounts. Her passwords echoed in my skull, draining to whistleblower NGOs. Millions funneled to victims' funds. Headlines screaming, Hargrove heiress repents. Harlan's appeals dried up, no slush to bribe judges. May brought the climax. A powder keg under Ohio's humid haze. Closing arguments. Prosecution hammered conspiracy. Defense whimpered entrapment. Harlan took the stand, unhinged, ranting about body swaps and imposters. That's not my wife. It's Ivy. the bastard spawn. Wearing her skin like a trophy. Courtroom chaos. Bailiff wrestling him down. Judge banging gavel. Jurors' 12 faces frozen in disbelief. But seed sown. Post-trial buzz. Competency hearing? Mistrial? I slipped out amid the scrum. Pulse thundering. To find Ivy waiting in the parking garage. We end this tonight, she said. My old locket, Mom's, dangling from her neck. Elena's lair, a rented cabin in the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, tracked via her sloppy VPN. We drove in tandem, her Civic tailing my BMW, tension thick as fog. The cabin squatted amid pines, lights flickering like a horror flick set. Elena answered the door in my body, jeans hugging hips I'd starved to fit, hair tousled wild. Ladies, she sneered, shotgun propped casual. Family reunion? The standoff stretched taut. Under the vaulted ceiling. Ivy me, circled left. I right. Voices overlapping in eerie harmony. Give it up, Elena. The accounts. The truth, it's over. She laughed. My laugh twisted. Truth? Harlan's the villain.
Sure.
But you, Ivy, you were the mistake. I just corrected it. Revelation spilled. She'd seduced the half-brother. Not Mom, blackmail fodder to force Harlan's hand. The affair photo? Deep fake. Her face on Mom's body. The Odie? Harlan's doing. Grief-fueled after she confessed the setup. He wrote the letter to bury you both. I just pulled the trigger. The twist hit like lightning. The crime I'd borne was theirs. A shared sin. Betrayal not linear. But a web. Harlan the puppet master. Elena the blade. Mom the collateral. Ivy lunged. Elena fired wild. Buckshot splintering wood. I tackled her. Elena's frailty no match for Ivy's fire. My fire. We wrestled. Bodies blurring. Mine and hers. Hers and mine. A Mobius of hate. The shotgun skidded. Ivy grabbed it. Barrel to temple. Confess. On video. Elena's eyes, my eyes, glinted defiant. Kill me. Become the monster. The controversial choice. Pull the trigger? Or mercy? Sirens wailed distant. Neighbors spooked. Ivy hesitated. Barrel trembling. I nodded. The dark calculus complete. Let her rot. We've won. Elena spat blood. Laughing. Have you? The swap's failing. You'll die in this skin. Forgotten. We zip-tied her. Called it in. Intruder at my cabin. Cops swarmed. Elena cuffed in my body. Ranting madness. Harlan's trial verdict dropped next morning. Guilty. Life plus. The empire crumbled. Assets seized. Willow Creek rechristened in infamy. But victory soured. Ivy and I met one last time. Riverfront bench. Gulls wheeling overhead. What now? She asked. Voice small. The bleed worsened. I saw Mom in her face. Harlan in mine.
Separate.
Heal.
Lies.
The real twist. No reversal. Boss's final email. Forwarded pre-torch. Symbiosis. You're both. Forever. Elena's cunning one, fusing us in eternal war. Summer heat baked the truth. I'd avenged. But lost myself. Ivy vanished west. Chasing sunsets. I stayed. Elena's shell cracking under sun. The debatable end. Justice served. Or cycle unbroken. Harlan died in prison. Heart attack, they said. Suicide. Whispers claimed. Elena pled insanity. Shipped to psych ward in my skin.
Me?
I walk her streets, ghost in couture, waiting for the rejection's kiss. Autumn returned to Willow Creek like an old score. Leaves carpeting lawns in crimson accusations. The air crisp with the scent of burning regrets. The mansion's new owners, those valley interlopers, had gutted it for smart home guts. But I haunted the edges. Elena's ghost in a town that forgot its monsters. The trial's dust settled into books and docs, the Hargrove Switch, Netflix special with actors mangling my drawl. Ivy called sporadically from Portland. Her text terse. Holding? I'd reply breathing. But the swap's fusion gnawed deeper. Nights. I'd wake to Elena's cravings, caviar and cruelty, or Ivy's echoes. Phantom calluses on palms that stayed soft. Voss's symbiosis wasn't merger, it was war. Souls skirmishing for dominance. The power vacuum Harlan left sucked in opportunists, interim mayor, a slick councilwoman with Elena's old pack ties. Promising reform. I watched from afar, sipping rose on the condo balcony. Her memories supplying dirt, mistresses, kickbacks. Temptation whispered, step back in, wield the strings. Controversial? Absolutely. Become the villain to right wrongs. Or fade to irrelevance. I chose fade. Mostly. Donated the remnants of her fortune to women's shelters. Anonymous. A penance for the luxury built on bones. But Elena wouldn't let go. From the ward Shaker Heights secure, barred windows overlooking lake-effect snow, she orchestrated chaos. Inmates smuggled her phone, posts flooded X. Threads unraveling the lie, I am Elena Hargrove. Stolen by a body-snatching whore. Proof attached. Grainy clinic footage. Voss's rig humming. My scream digitized. Believers swarmed. Q-adjacent forums. True crime TikToks. Pilgrims at the mansion gates demanding justice for the switched. Ivy texted panic. She's viral. Feds sniffing. I drove to the facility under cover of dusk. Fake visitor badge, nursing alias. Irony's gift. Conjugal. I lied to the guard. Elena's charm oil on troubled waters. She waited in the parlor. My body gaunt from meds. Eyes feral bright. Finally, she purred. My purr laced with venom. No plexiglass here. Intimacy bred danger. We sat knee to knee. Hands clasped. Electric. The neural hum syncing us like faulty wiring. You think you've won? I'm you now.
Ivy.
Free. Lies cracked under scrutiny. She'd dosed Ivy, the real one, with Voss's toxin. Not lethal, but lingering. Fuzzing her edges. She'll forget herself soon. Merge with me. The secret's core. The swap wasn't botch. It was design. Elena commissioned Voss for dual transfers, her to youth, me to oblivion, as insurance against Harlan's suspicions. But greed flipped it. She meant to discard both shells. Inhabit a third. My intrusion? Happy accident. Or fate's middle finger. Rage reignited. You am and unquenched. Confess it all, I demanded. Recorder live in my sleeve. She leaned close. Breath minty from Ward toothpaste.
Why?
You're dying too. Feel it, the atrophy. Truth stung. Joints aching deeper. Vision spotting. Symbiosis devouring hosts. But the twist reversed again. Harlan's prison death? Not suicide. Elena's hack, bribed guard with smuggled ricin. Payback for the letter's betrayal. He chose power over us both.
Now.
You finish it. She pressed a vial into my palm, toxin. Enough for two. Join or die alone. The decision loomed. tension strung taut as bowstrings. Mercy kill? Or drag her into the light? I pocketed it. Fled into rain. Mind reeling. Ivy met me at the river. Hood up against downpour. End her, she urged. Voice breaking, toxins toll. Memories slipping like sand. We argued on the banks. Water churning black. Killing makes us same. She's already dead inside. The controversial mercy. I chose life. For all shells. Drove to the ward at dawn. Vial emptied into the Cuyahoga, pollution's gift to pollution. Feds raided hours later. Elena's posts traced. Phone seized. She cracked under questioning. Spilling the swap's guts, clinic logs. Donor black market. Harlan's complicity in Mom's end. Trials compounded, hers for conspiracy. Fraud. Voss extradited from Mexico. Facing vivisections in court. The nation gawked. Body horror meets white-collar crime. Debates raging on ethics of mind theft. Protests at biotech firms. Bans proposed in Congress. Ivy stabilized. Toxin flushed with experimental chelation. Irony. Big Pharma's redemption arc. We met one last time in a Seattle diner. Her across vinyl booth. My old laugh lines framing unfamiliar calm. Separate forever? She asked. I nodded. Elena's rings pawned for her bus ticket east. Build new. Winter thawed into spring again. Willow Creek's scars fading under fresh sod. I sold the condo.
Cashed out.
Vanished to New Orleans jazz and gumbo. America's underbelly calling. In Elena's skin. I volunteered at clinics. Warning of swap dens. A crusader in couture. But nights. The fusion whispered. Her vanities. My vendettas. Harlan's hollow empire. The ending? Debatable as dawn. Happy. Monsters caged. Survivors scarred but standing. Tragic. We're all swapped. Souls bartered in the great American hustle. Harlan's letter? Framed on my wall. Reminder. Kick out the lies. Or they kick back. 2 decades changed everything. Betrayals unearthed. Powers toppled. Truths twisted like kudzu. I walk now. Lighter. Elena's heels traded for Ivy's boots. Revenge? A pyre that warms but doesn't heal. And in the quiet, I wonder, whose life is this? Really?